The Sharks, the latest opponent to sink their teeth into the Canucks, 5-2. San Jose wins it. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. We welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. It was San Jose 5, the Vancouver Canucks 2. The losing continues. That's 3 straight after that rare victory over the Washington Capitals in the middle of last week. You don't even want to know. It's 1-12-2 in the last 15 hockey games for the Vancouver Canucks. I'm Jeff. He's Irf. And Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith gave us lots to talk about, and certainly we will discuss their performance as the Sharks come to town and pick up their 3rd win of the season against the Vancouver Canucks. Wasn't that long ago that the Canucks absolutely owned the Sharks, but boy, the tables have turned, and that was apparent really from the outset. Even though the Canucks got the lead early in the hockey game, it lasted all of 36 seconds, Irf. And after that, Macklin and Will decided that, nope, they weren't going to have it. Weren't going to let the Canucks extend their lead, and they certainly went to town in the Canucks zone. A bunch of quick goals, 3 minutes apart, and that was it for Kevin Lankinen. And at that point, the game pretty much over.
Yeah, a lot of the games are OVAH before they even start right now in this stretch for the Vancouver Canucks. Look, 29 games to go. A lot of people are grasping at straws of positives and want to see young guys do things good and things like that, but they got worked. And you and I talked about this before. The San Jose Sharks are a bubble playoff hockey team at best right now, and they absolutely worked the Vancouver Canucks. This isn't the top dog of the Edmonton Oilers or the Vegas Golden Knights or teams that have real Stanley Cup aspirations. The Sharks will one day. They're going to be a spectacular hockey team. But what they did with this Vancouver Canuck team, they were without Demko, they were without Besser, they were without Marco Rossi, they were without Zeev Beum. But really, like even adding all those guys, is it going to make that much of a difference?
No, they were also without pushback yet again. Yeah. Although Evander Kane, for whatever reason, decided to drop the gloves with Timothy Liljegren. Not sure what that was all about.
Evander was just done with the game.
Scouts row was packed. I don't know if they were there to watch Evander Kane or others on the Canucks or maybe some on the Sharks, although I don't think the Sharks are going to be peddling players.
No.
They get to add Kiefer Sherwood, who skated this morning. He isn't quite ready to go. There's some talk that he will make his Sharks debut on this road trip at some point. They move on to Alberta now. They didn't need Kiefer Sherwood, but he's going to be a nice add. I mean, we said that at the time, and talking to a few of the Sharks media guys this morning, like they are really excited to see what he can do and what he can bring to this mix because there's all this top-end youthful skill, but you bring a guy like Kiefer Sherwood, they're not going to expect Kiefer Sherwood to be their leading scorer. That's what Macklin Celebrini's all about. Well, they want Kiefer Sherwood just to get in there and do what Kiefer Sherwood does, and that is finish every single check, work his tail off. And so a very good-looking San Jose team is going to get better here when Kiefer Sherwood makes his debut.
Yeah, they want the Nashville Predators Kiefer Sherwood that the Canucks went after and got, and they're going to get him. And he's going to definitely add a little bit more juice to this lineup that already has a lot.
Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. We'll have our line of the night a little bit later on here. We want to hear from you. You've said it, 29 games to go. So there are still 29 Rink Wides. We need your help here. What were you looking for? What did you see in this hockey game? How demoralizing is it to watch North Van's Macklin Celebrini come to town and run the show with 4 points on 5 goals? And it's not just Celebrini. I mean, there's a ton of young talent there, and it's only going to develop and get better. And meanwhile, the Canucks spinning their wheels as they plot their path forward here. So would love to hear from you with a super chat. Bring it. Make a donation to our charity partner, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. The Canucks get 2 goals in the night, both from defensemen. You like to see Tom Willander continuing to grow his game, and it was a nice shot, 4-on-4 early in the hockey game, 1:15. Petey makes a nice play back to the point, rolling screen from Jake DeBrusk and Tom Willander from the left point. But I liked how active Tom Willander was on that sequence leading to the goal, and then I like the shot itself. So, again, we're scratching for silver linings when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, and we'll talk about Jonathan Lecker-Mackey's night as well. But, no, for a team that's fallen behind way too often this season and certainly on this homestand, it was nice at least to see them get out of the gate early with a goal, 75 seconds into the hockey game.
Yeah, and look, I think for the paying customer, Rogers Arena, okay, that goal looked good. They had some jump, third goal of the season for Tom Willander, and things look good for them. But as they continued on, you look at Macklin Celebrini and the way that he was able to come back in that hockey game. Adam Gaudette obviously scoring, and then Tyler Toffoli, all he does is score against the Vancouver Canucks' 25th career goal against his hockey club. But like you mentioned, if we're grasping at things and things that you want to see and you want to like, okay, it's the young guy and Tom Willander getting on the score sheet.
Gets his third of the season from Elias Pettersson and Jake DeBrusk. That goal came 4-on-4 because there were the early offsetting penalties between Connor Garland and Dmitry Orlov. And then both teams score in that 4-on-4 situation 36 seconds apart. So Willander opens the scoring, great. Macklin Celebrini's like, yeah, hang on a sec here. Puck comes to him in the slot. Puck just seems to find him. And then, the really good players, and he's already a really good player. 4-point night gives him 78 on the season. He's fourth in NHL scoring. He's heading to the Olympics, all those types of things. 27 goals now and counting. And we saw him score a wicked one-timer the other night against the Rangers. I don't think he got everything on his shot here, but it was still enough to beat Kevin Lankinen. But again, you give him time and space in the slot the way the Canucks did, and man, were they guilty in that first period of giving up the middle of the ice. The Sharks absolutely picked them apart. It was just like a steady stream of cross-seam passes, and that's been a problem for the Canucks for much of the season. Yeah. A team like the Sharks who have finishing talent, they made no mistake, and it was Celebrini that got the ball rolling.
Macklin Celebrini, Ray referred to it on the broadcast. People are, giving the comparisons to Sidney Crosby. There's anyone that has watched Sidney Crosby and he's young, and Macklin Celebrini, there are a lot of comparisons in the way that those two play. Macklin also got the invite to go up and skate with Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon at their summer skate session, and obviously Celebrini now on his way to the Olympics, but he really is that. I mean, he does things at such an elite level. Obviously, there's a reason why the rebuild for the San Jose Sharks is accelerated just because of him. And then you get guys like Will Smith, and you trade for goalies like Askarov and different players. And there's a lot of first-round top-end talent in your possession if you're the San Jose Sharks. But man, Macklin Celebrini, one of those young guys, worth the price of admission every single time now.
Free Petey hitting us up with the first super chat of the night. We appreciate your support of the BC Mental Health Foundation. Says right D chases left and left D chases right. System is unplayable. We've seen it. I mean, just nightly breakdowns. There were more of them in this hockey game as well. We have sat here and praised Filip Hronek on a nightly basis for his consistency, and he ends up scoring a bomb. I mean, I like to see him shoot the puck like that to close out the scoring, but there are two ends of the ice, and at 1-1, Sharks have scored. They're looking for more. They smell blood in the water, and Filip Hronek with a weak clearing attempt. And it's just a play that he can't make. It's a play that nobody can afford to make on the Vancouver Canucks. Sharks pick it off, and then they start to zip it around again. And it was tic-tac-toe, and Adam Gaudette, basically put on a tee for him about 25 feet out, directly in front of the net. Old friend Adam Gaudette, he rips home his 11th of the year. So as much as Filip Hronek has given the Canucks this season, right now it just feels like any kind of mistake winds up in the back of the net. And so at that point, the Sharks were off to the races, had a 2-1 lead. A minute after that, it was Toffoli. Again, a slot shot after a weak clearing attempt from Victor Mancini, who had a rough night back in the National Hockey League. Linus Karlsson, a little late to close. And Tyler Toffoli doesn't miss from that spot on the ice as we show the replay on the live stream. And so just like that, bang, 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 Celebrini, Gaudette, and Toffoli. And it goes from a 1-0 Canucks lead to a 3-1 Sharks advantage. That was it. Curtains for Kevin Lankinen. 3 goals on 6 shots in under 6 minutes of play. And I think we do have to spend some time here, not just talking about the goaltending, but the goaltending decision here. And look, it's easy to armchair quarterback. That's what we do here post-game. But Adam Foote got this one wrong, or he got Sunday wrong. Kevin Lankinen's played too much here, and on this day that they shut down Thatcher Demko, and Kevin Lankinen heading to the Olympics to play for Finland, and I don't know how much he'll play there, but He's going. He's going to dress for games. UC Saros likely to be the starter for the Finns. Lankinen, this was his 5th straight start, 7 of the last 8. They called Tolopilo up on the weekend. I kind of thought the Pittsburgh game, although the Penguins were playing well, maybe they wanted to protect a young goaltender. But the Sharks can score. The Ducks are in next. They can score in bunches. Even the Leafs, they're terrible, but they can score too. But we see this. We saw this last year as well with Kevin Lankinen. Every goaltender gets to that point that you get diminishing returns when you start to overplay them. And with Demko out now, they got to guard against this. The results ultimately don't matter. But Lankinen's not playing particularly well. He wasn't very good against Jersey on Friday night. He gave up 5 goals on 24 shots. This should have been a Nikita Tolopilo start. And so, I feel bad for Tolopilo. I don't feel bad for that he's in the NHL. It's where he wants to be. But give him the day to prepare. Give him yesterday to mentally prepare. Let him know that he's starting. Instead, you turn to him and you say, get in there in a 3-1 deficit when the Sharks are all over the Canucks. That's not fair to a young goaltender. So I think the Canucks absolutely whiffed on their goaltending decision in this hockey game.
Yeah, and look, let's make no mistake about it. Kevin Lankinen, I don't think he's a number 1 bona fide starter in the NHL. I think that, he got his contract after playing some really, really, really good hockey, and then he's been thrown into a position where I don't think he expected to be, and I don't think the team obviously expected to be with the injuries to Thatcher Demko over the last couple of seasons. Kevin Lankinen has been thrown into a position where they need to rely on him as being the number 1. He's just not a number 1 guy. And you mentioned he's going to the Olympics. I don't know if he's going to play, but he's still going. And with this condensed schedule, with no practice time, with no real days off, with all of the travel that the Vancouver Canucks have to do, and with the way that he doesn't get any help on a lot of nights, he's facing 30, 40 shots. He's having to make crazy saves and do this, that, and the other. His workload isn't very easy. So for him, you got to be careful before you run this guy completely dry. And then the last month of the season, if Kevin Lankinen gets hurt, then you're just left with Nikita Tolopilo. I mean, look, it's good for the Tankists. It's not good for the future of Kevin Lankinen, especially in this organization. When guys have already started to want out, he might look at it and say, what really is happening here?
And to Tolopilo's credit, he comes in, he gives up a power play goal and then a 5-on-3 goal. I mean, he wasn't beaten at even strength. He got thrown to the Wolves in that game against the Oilers at the start of the homestand, so it's been tough. And again, this is where he wants to be, but I want to believe that the Canucks can still find ways to put him in positions to succeed. Now, behind this defense, maybe that's a big ask, but I just think it was tough for him to have to come in cold, thinking that he's going to be the backup in this hockey game. And look, again, the environment right now defensively is atrocious, as Free Petey said in his super chat. But Kevin Lankinen, the numbers are what they are, and he hasn't been very good.
Yeah.
The team hasn't won much. He's won 7-1 in his last 9 starts.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's tough to have goalies steal you games when the offense isn't putting up goals either. There's a correlation to something
For
that,
sure.
you need to at least score 1, 2, or 3 if you don't want your goalie to give anything up. But then you just give so much up defensively that odd man rushes are apparent all the time. Your penalty kill is abysmal. If you take a penalty, it's pretty much in the back of the net. So there's all these situational times in the game where you think you can be in and have an advantage, and you leave your goalkeeper out to dry, and that's kind of been the problem here, and that's obviously his record's an indication of that.
I just thought there were alarm bells and red flags and you name it on Friday night against the Devils. It felt like Kevin Lankinen needed a night off here. Now, he ends up getting a night off for the most part because he only plays 6 minutes, but I would think...
I think you go back to Tolopilo.
If I'm making the call, I go back to Tolopilo, and then Lankinen can have the Leafs on Saturday night at the end of the homestand and see where things go from there. Canucks remain on 39 points. I guess that's the good news in all of this. 17-31-5 on the season. The home record just so atrocious and abysmal at 5-17-3. If you need a little good news, it's that there are only 4 games remaining, but for the All-Star or the Olympic break, I think we can all use a little bit of time off and a time away from this hockey club. And there are now 8 games to go before the March 6th trade deadline. So 4 before the Olympic break and then 4 after the Olympic break. That'll take them up to that trade deadline. They're in Chicago on the night of the deadline, but of course the game will be played after the trade deadline. So we'll see who's around, who's still here, and who has moved on from the Vancouver Canucks. Let's get to the 3 stars of this hockey game. Pretty easy selection. Some nights it's not, but this one pretty simple. I thought, although there is a difference between the one in the rink and here on Rink Wide. 3 stars are brought to you by Greta Bar. Still time to reserve a spot for their Super Bowl party on February the 8th. Should be a great place to watch the Seahawks roll over the Patriots. They'll have all the usual game day food and drink specials, the arcade games too, literally all the bells and whistles. If you're looking for a place for you and your crew to watch all of the big games, Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova. Greta Bar, let the games begin. 3 stars in the building is selected by the Sportsnet crew. Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, and Elias Pettersson was in on both Canuck goals, picks up primary assists on the Willander and the Hronek goals, 4-on-4 and 5-on-4, so power play goal and a 4-on-4 goal. Nothing doing at even strength, and it was a tough night for PD. The underlying numbers, he got caved in this hockey game. Individual Corsi of just 15% at 5-on-5. Shot attempts were 16-3 in favor of the Sharks. But on a night when not much was going for the Vancouver Canucks, he did factor in both of the goals. So I understand where they're coming from there. A clean sweep here on Rink Wide. Celebrini, the goal, 3 assists, 4 points. 4 shots, 6 attempts. Again, he's just he's mesmerizing when he's got the puck on his stick, and he's 19 years of age. It's going to be wild in 2 years, 5 years.
Misa's 18.
Yeah, and that's it. Hey, like Celebrini, Smith, you got Misa, Sam Dickinson had a couple of assists in this hockey game. They think Askarov, who wasn't tested a ton, they think he's the real deal. No, I mean, it's going to be fun to see how this team goes about supporting these young guys, developing them. But they are in a playoff spot right now as they near the Olympic break. So going to be fascinating down the stretch. We'll get that graphic back up because we spent so much time talking about Macklin, and understandably so. But there's Will Smith, a goal and 2 helpers. His goal was pretty. Again, he had all day. Another one of those cross-seam passes on the power play, but man, he picked the short side corner. There wasn't much there. Tolopilo's a big man, and Will Smith, 15th of the season, that made it 4-1 midway through the second period. And there's John Klingberg, who rounded out the scoring, also had an assist, so a 2-point night for him. 10 goals on the season now. Yeah, John Klingberg has 10 goals. And again, if he's working the power play with the rest of that cast, you can understand. So Klingberg made it 5-1, just 28 seconds into the third period. 5-on-3 goal. Both teams had extended 5-on-3s. You'll never believe this. The Sharks scored on theirs, and the Canucks didn't. And again, it's painful to watch the Canucks 5-on-3. We're going to have more on that in our stat that stands out, but they just plod. They pass the puck around. Sharks, there was traffic. Klingberg with a seeing eye shot. They had that great view from the far end of the ice.
Yeah.
And you can see, I mean, Tolopilo could not see it, and Klingberg picked his spot top corner. So another power play goal. Sharks go 2 for 4 with man advantage in this hockey game, 50%. And we've been saying it for a while now. It basically feels like a coin flip when the Canucks are asked to kill penalties. And Sharks strike twice with the man advantage in this one.
John Klingberg has played since he left the Dallas Stars in 21-22 for 4 teams. Can you name those 4 teams? The one, remember, he turned down the big long contract.
Yeah, he was a Leaf.
Yeah. Okay, so Leafs is, Oilers. And then there was 2 before that. Leafs, Oilers are the 2 most recent. Yeah, Stars.
There's 2 others.
After the Stars, he went to
Anaheim.
There you go. And then the one that got me, I was like, what the hell? The Minnesota Wild. Yeah. 17 games.
I would have sat here and listed 10 teams.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Another super chat. This one coming in from Free PD. Being quite gracious tonight.
Yes.
So second super chat. Stat that stands out. We're not there yet, but his stat that stands out, Marcus Pettersson penalties while killing penalties. Has to be the league leader. He is among the league leaders in minor penalties taken.
Yeah.
Evander Kane took the initial penalty in the fight with Liljegren, and then moments later, Marcus Pettersson, he gets flagged as well. His penalty for high sticking, and at that point, Sharks go 5-on-3. They didn't score, and actually didn't do much with their 5-on-3 at the end of the second period, but again, some fresh ice to start the third, and they made no mistake there. So I'd have to go back and look, and I'm not sure that I've got the energy to do that, but I just know that Marcus Pettersson, in a disastrous season individually and for his hockey club, has taken way too many penalties and has sat in that penalty box when the other team has scored night after night after night. Van City Ricky says, Jeff, what's Saturday going to look like? Will the Canucks and Leafs fans all have paper bags over their heads? It's getting there. Leafs can't get out of town fast enough. They went 0 on a homestand and got smoked by Buffalo tonight. People there basically begging the Leafs to throw in the towel. And, this is where it gets dicey for the Canucks because other teams are going to get to this point where they decide that, it is time to start selling off assets. And so Canucks got ahead of the curve with the Kiefer Sherwood deal. But, you don't want other teams flooding the market with available players. So, we'll see where that one goes. But Leafs are... Yeah, it's funny because I saw all the moaning on social before the Canucks game started, and I get it. Like, the Leafs were built to win. They got Austin Matthews. They're 18 points ahead of the Canucks.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that because the Canucks obviously have said and told everybody that they're for sale. But the danger is if other GMs that have contenders and think that they can be teams that can go on runs here, look at the way that other teams are playing and say, okay, well, what if the Leafs become a seller? What if the Flames become a seller? What if St. Louis completely bottoms out here? Their players that they're going to have to sell are better than the players that the Canucks are currently trying to sell.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies right now for the Vancouver Canucks. So it could be showcase night for Evander Kane, who obviously, has his agent involved in trying to get a trade here. But what's going to happen if you don't try and move a guy like Connor Garland? Or is Drew O'Connor going to be a guy that, is on that block as well? Because I can guarantee you there's a Drew O'Connor on the Toronto Maple Leafs that can probably be for sale, or on the Calgary Flames, or on another team. So this is where it kind of gets interesting. And obviously we have the roster freeze coming up on February 4th.
Just Chill in the chat says, I've had it with these young Vancouver-born punks coming back to town and shooting our lights out. Ben Kindle the other day with the 2 goals. Today it was Macklin. Last time Celebrini was in, he had the 16 shot attempts. Didn't go quite as wild in this one. It was 4 shots, 7 attempts in 17 minutes and 38 seconds of ice time. All right, we talked about our stat that stands out. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm not sure that it was going to alter the outcome of this hockey game, but it might have. Who knows? Stat that stands out, delivered, as always, by Uber Eats. And Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. Even if the Canucks don't win, you can win every time the team's playing at home. You can get a buy one, get one 6-piece chicken McNuggets from McDonald's in Vancouver only on Uber Eats. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Hashtag crave the stats. And the stat that stands out tonight, Vancouver has not scored on any of their 7 5-on-3 power plays this season.
I did not know that until tonight.
So it goes deeper than that, though.
Okay.
Because the Canucks are among the top 10 teams in the National Hockey League in terms of 5-on-3 ice time. And obviously, if you're not scoring, you're racking up more and more time. So it sort of stands to reason that they would be a top 10 team with those 7 5-on-3s. Every other team in the top 10 has cashed in at least once. They're bad. They're just bad.
Well,
any way you cut it.
On a team that, for some of them had Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Jake DeBrusk, and you look at other players that they've had, Connor Garland, guys that they've had that have been able to prove that they put the puck in the back of the net. That is wild to me. That is crazy.
Yeah, so there you go. That is definitely a stat that stands out. Jonathan Lekkerimäki called up, plugged into the lineup, gets a top 6 role, started on the line with Philip Hedl and Drew O'Connor. 15 minutes and 51 seconds of ice time. Had a good look early in the hockey game. Mm-hmm. Right shot guy playing the left side. Ends up with 4 shots on goal on 6 attempts. That's what I want to see. Didn't score. And I said to you when Will Smith scored, I said, that's the goal that Lekkerimäki's supposed to score.
Yeah.
And hopefully someday he will. Got almost 4 minutes of power play time. I like the way they handled him. Almost 16 minutes of ice time in a losing cause. We have seen other guys, Nils Höglander among them, struggle to find the ice. But if you're calling Lekkerimäki up but he's taking Brock Besser's spot in the lineup, then play the kid. And so on a night when really very little went right for the Vancouver Canucks, I'm all right with Jonathan Lekkerimäki's first look in the National Hockey League in a couple of almost a couple of months.
I think the biggest thing is, doesn't look out of place, holds his own, can go in there and prove. I mean, he's playing in the jungle down there in Abbotsford, and he's holding his own down there, putting up points and doing what he needs to do to, earn the call up and get there. But yeah, I think that he's going to feature in the lineup now, and as he should. I don't think that they're in a position now where they need to take Jonathan Lekkerimäki out, develop him, see if he can play, give him minutes, and let him cut it loose. I mean, what are you going to lose with Jonathan Lekkerimäki being the guy that is your point guy on the power play? You already know what Elias Pettersson does. Let this guy shoot the puck. Let him fire it. Let's see what you have. And I have no problem with it. I would have a problem if they put him in and he was playing Evander Kane minutes, about 11, 12 minutes. But the fact that he got up to around 16, which is pretty good, is an indication of they like what they see from him and they want to see more of it.
Yeah, and Evander Kane at 12:24.
12:24, sorry.
7 minutes in the penalty box, so that cut into his ice time. But Höglander, he's a low ice time man, 11 minutes and 5 seconds, just one shot on goal.
And it was that one rush, right?
You're right, when he sliced through the defense, it's actually good. Like more of that, and for whatever reason, and he didn't play much, I get it, but still, if it's 11 minutes, you got to find a way to make the most of those 11 minutes. And there had been some signs of life. He picked up a couple of assists lately, but not a banner night for Nils Höglander. Now 18 games and just 2 points on the season. What do we make of Evander Kane starting in a fourth line role where, the reports come out last night from Dollywall that Dan Milstein now has license to shop his client and try and find a deal out there. Of course, Evander's got some trade protection. He spoke about it today. Sounded like a guy that was resigned to the fact that he was going to be on the move, doesn't know the destination yet. But I thought it was interesting. And again, we were told before the game, Scouts Row was packed to the point that they had to rejig some of the press box to make room for everybody that was in attendance. And then Evander Kane goes out in a fourth line role, doesn't do a whole lot early in the hockey game. And then again, I don't know exactly. I mean, he gets tangled up with Liljegren, but Liljegren, a non-fighter, and looked the part there. And so, I'm not here to say, look, Evander Kane bringing a physical presence in a hockey game that was otherwise a no-hitter. And I don't think that experienced hockey guys who watch these games for a living, many of whom played the game themselves, I'm talking about the scouts, I don't think they're going to be wowed by the fact that Evander Kane dropped the gloves with Timothy Liljegren.
But of all of these hockey guys that are at the games and have played the games, Evander Kane's played in the National Hockey League for a while. Evander Kane had 2 runs to the Stanley Cup final with the Edmonton Oilers, one of which he was unbelievable in. I think by this point what you're getting in Evander Kane if you do want to acquire him. The reason why Evander Kane hasn't been moved yet is because the Canucks haven't received an offer for Evander Kane yet. Otherwise, he'd be out of here. So the Canucks tried to trade him. Now they get the agent involved to try and make some creativity happen to try and facilitate it in a different way. Now, Evander still has some trade protection, like we mentioned, and then obviously there's a report from Kevin Weeks that it's Dallas or Colorado. I think that there's a lot more teams than that, if I'm being honest. But do I think he's going to be moved before the Olympic break on the 4th? No. I think that when you look at his ticket and what he has, paying about $400,000 for him not to play for your team for 2 weeks, I think that might rub a few GMs the wrong way a little bit. So you could see an Evander Kane trade happen after the Olympic break. Yeah, just before the trade deadline on March 9th. I can see that, or even at and around the deadline. But this is something that the Canucks have been trying to do, and it just hasn't gone their way, and now that's why the agent's involved.
Yeah, and I sometimes when the agents get involved, I saw people who were like, oh, the Canucks, they can't do these deals themselves. They have to get agents involved all the time. Again, Evander Kane's got a limited no-trade list, and so I wonder if a team that's on the no-trade list has shown some interest. At that point, the agent can get involved, can work directly with Evander, can work with that team, see if there's a fit. Like, a guy presents his no-trade list. I think sometimes maybe there's, a handful of teams that are absolute no-flies, and then there's a second tier of maybe under the circumstances, if he truly wants out of Vancouver, maybe there are a couple of teams. It just gives him control, is ultimately what it does here. The other thing is, Evander Kane at this stage of his career and the kind of season that he's had, to me, he feels like a deadline deal kind of guy.
Yeah.
You see a veteran forward with some playoff experience move right at the deadline, one of those last-minute types of deals. There is not a lineup around the block to get teams to get their hooks into Evander Kane.
Well,
I think that's pretty obvious by now.
and also the Canucks are going to have to retain.
Yeah.
Either that or they're going to have to attach a pick to it just for the other team to take on the contract. Kind of like what they did with Ilya Mikheyev, who's obviously also represented by the same agent as Evander Kane. But anyways, that's the Evander Kane story, right? Yeah. And I think that the 12 minutes of ice time doesn't mean anything. I don't think that there's going to be some sort of showcase of Evander Kane where he needs to play large minutes because they're trying to trade him. I don't think that that's going to happen. You just know what you're getting in a guy that is going to be that guy. You're getting the physicality you hope to get if you're a contender, and maybe be able to put the puck in the net a little bit in playoff games.
Yeah, in fact, I sort of was urging on social last night that if something is imminent, sit him down at this point. As you said, guy's coming up on his 1,000th game here soon.
Yeah.
Teams know what Evander Kane is all about and what he can do. To me, I would protect the asset. I'd get get Max Sasson in the lineup. He was a healthy scratch here. They elected to play Kane, and he played, as we said, 12 minutes of ice time. 2 to go on the homestand here. Anaheim, another team that can score in bunches, just won 7 in a row before they lost in Edmonton last night. And then the Leafs to wrap up the homestand on Saturday. After that, off to Utah, off to Vegas. The Mums going on that trip. It's the mother's trip. Are the Mums going to want to go? That's Vegas.
The Mums get to go to Vegas.
That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a chance of seeing better results from the Canucks on the road than you do at home. At least that's been the form this season. Here's your chance, though, to win the ultimate Canucks road trip. You get Pacific Blue Cross travel insurance for your chance to see the Canucks out on the road, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, and more. There's no purchase necessary. It's open to BC residents. Contest ends on February 28th, 2026, so just after the Olympic break. Enter now, pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks. We're going to hear from Nikita Tolopilo in a moment. Before we do that, though, a couple of other individual performances. And again, the expectations here are low. I want to make that abundantly clear. Guys missed half the season, coming off a serious head injury. But it's 3 games now. I've noticed Filipino in the other ones. I'm not sure that I noticed Filipino. I guess that line with Garland and Höglander early in the second period had the one sequence where they were sort of all over the Sharks and Askarov was jumping around and Hedl had a decent look in front of the net. But 14 minutes of ice time, 2 shots on goal, wins 4 of 11 faceoffs. Again, baby steps as he gets back in the NHL, but not a whole lot happening there for Filipino.
I hear you. I see you. I understand what you're saying. I think a lot of people in the chat too. But let me ask you this. What's the ceiling for the return of Filipino? I know it's 3 games, and listen, it's going to take time. This guy came back from a serious head injury. It's going to take time. He's going to get body, getting hit, and this, that, and the other. But where's our ceiling for Filipino? And I think that that's kind of the bigger question when we really go and look at it.
Well, yeah, and for him, obviously, you'd like to see him get in on the scoring just to get that feeling again. He got off to such a nice start, 2 on opening night, and then another one in Dallas. He had 3 goals in the 6 games that he played before he got hurt. Again, I do wonder if the design is for him to play all 29 games or if it's just to get a comprehensive baseline of 10 or 12 games to prove that he was healthy enough and then take the rest of the season off to continue to train, don't run the risk of putting yourself in harm's way. I think I could build a compelling case for them to go down that road with Filipino, especially when you've got a Max Sasson who can't get in the lineup right now. And maybe you want to bring up a Ty Mueller at some point and give him a couple of looks at center ice. So we'll see where it goes. This isn't me pointing a finger at Filipino and saying they didn't win because of him, but I guess it's kind of been what I expected. I think he had shown a little bit more in the previous 2 games than he did in this one. The other guy that I want to talk about, and I know our colleague Harm Dial has he's written about this. He talked about this on Canucks Convo. He's been a little bit ahead of the curve here, but I think the rest of us are catching up. Victor Mancini got recalled along with Lekkerimäki. Victor Mancini was up not that long ago. And then they sent him back down, wanted to bring DPD back into the mix at the NHL level. But now with Zeev Buium out, Mancini gets the recall. I didn't like the play that he made on the end boards. Weak, sort of blind clearing attempt on what turned out to be the Tyler Toffoli goal. But beyond that are the underlying numbers for Victor Mancini. he got absolutely crushed in this hockey game. The shot attempts at 5-on-5 were 21-4 for the San Jose Sharks. So an individual Corsi of 16%. Actual shots were 9-2 on the ice for the one goal that we talked about there. He's in a different category than Zeev Buium and Tom Willander and DPD. Those guys are first or second year pros. Victor Mancini is about to turn 24 here.
Yep.
And like with his time in the minors and the few chances that he's had at the NHL level, he's a huge man. The size is undeniable. But like I still don't know what he thinks or wants to be in the National Hockey League. At that size, like he's not terribly physical. There's not an imposing element to his game. Teams aren't, oh, Mancini's on the ice, got to keep my head on a swivel here. At the AHL level in the playoffs, joking, he looked like Bobby Orr. Like he looked like Quinn Hughes. Like the things that he did at the AHL level were incredible.
Yeah, fifth-round pick.
But that's not the guy that he's going to be in the National Hockey League, and it kind of feels like there's been slippage year over year here for Victor Mancini.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it for his point of view, it's you need to figure out where you are before you become a permanent AHL guy. And he's 23 years old, coming on 24 now. And I understand that some guys are late bloomers in the NHL and this, that, and the other, but you need to play and you need to figure out what type of defenseman you're going to be. Are you going to be the shutdown guy that just hits people? Or do you have any offense to your game that you can bring? You can't really be in the middle if you're already 23, almost 24 years old. You kind of have to make that decision upon yourself. And it's going to be a big summer for him to try and figure out where that is, because there is opportunity in this lineup. Like Tyler Myers isn't going to play forever. You know, there's going to be a spot in this lineup for him or for someone, and you hope that he realizes that he's able to go and take that.
But if you've got Zeev Buium at 20 years of age, and you got Tom Willander at 20, and Willander scoring tonight, and Buium scored the other night, and both of those guys have already shown at the NHL level that there is some offense to their game. If I'm Victor Mancini, like my ticket forward is to be a physically imposing guy using my size, and don't back down. Be a guy that initiates, and I don't see enough of that from him, and so. As you said, I think we'll see how many of the final 29 games. Buium is going to be out for a while with a fractured cheekbone or orbital bone, or they weren't quite clear, but a facial injury. There's an opportunity, but it's going to be up to Mancini here to seize it. Otherwise, he's going to be on the side of the highway as other guys are passing him on the Vancouver Canucks depth chart. Speaking of being on the highway, you could take a Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid out on the road. This segment presented by the Pacific Toyota dealers. The hybrid Prius, no compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. You can drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone. That's enough to get you from downtown to the rink to the grocery store and then home to recharge. Seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine. Combined range of 962 kilometers. And there's no sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style, with its sleek, low, wide exterior and a sophisticated interior loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. And right now you can lease a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $109 weekly at 3.99% APR, 64 months, $3,300 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. We got a couple of super chats that we'll get to here momentarily, but let's hear from Nikita Tolopilo. We talked about him on the night. San Jose scores 3 on Lankinen. They get 2 against Tolopilo, 1 on 5-on-3, 1 on a conventional power play, but Tolopilo faces 27 shots, makes 25 saves, and I do think that that's earned him, and this is just us supposing. We'll wait for Adam Foote to make the decision, but I think it's earned him the right to get the start against Anaheim on Thursday night. Here is Nikita Tolopilo.
Yeah, you always have to be ready. You never know what could happen in the game. So, just prepare like you play, and when you go in, just do your job.
How hard is that? I mean, you're sitting there. I mean, Lawrence is having a tough start, but you get a call.
Yeah, that's my job, so I have to be always, my mind have to be always ready, and my body. So it's okay. And it wasn't easy for Lanks too. So, but he's a great goalie, and it's sometimes it's it's not fun to be goalie, but we're gonna get better.
Now, with Thatcher Demko now out for this season, do you look at yourself now as a full-time NHL goalie?
I don't look like I try to stay present, day by day, and try to get better every day. So I don't look ahead of like that. So yeah.
Are you excited for the opportunity that's coming?
I mean, you're always excited. It's the best league in the world, and when you get the chance, it's great. But as I said, I try to stay present. I don't look ahead of what's gonna happen tomorrow. So just day by day, practice by practice, game by day. So yeah.
What do you take away from a game like this with some of the skilled players they have on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, probably every team had skilled players here, but I think overall I have a okay game. Of course, there are some things to work on, and probably the first goal could play a little bit differently, but yeah, just gonna look at it and take some things and try to clean up.
Just for you personally, being in Abbotsford last year, how cool is it to watch, Lekermacki and Carlson, guys you played with last year, now being on the first unit power play in the NHL?
Yeah, it's great to have those guys in the locker room. We go through a lot. With some guys we've been for a couple of years together, so it's great to have those guys in the locker room. Yeah.
There you go. Nikita Tolopilo says, not always fun being a goaltender.
That's true.
I can understand that. Probably wasn't a ton of fun for Kevin Lankinen in the early going of this one. But standing in there as he did, facing questions after the game, facing all kinds of San Jose scoring opportunities as well. And now that Thatcher Demko is down, an opportunity certainly knocking for Nikita Tolopilo. We've seen him do the do-si-do with Yuri Patera at times, but Patera's contract's up at the end of the season. I don't think the Canucks are likely to bring him back, and so this really feels like it's going to be an opportunity for Nikita Tolopilo to get some significant starts. Again, 29 games to go. Lankinen can't play them all, even if they want to play the wheels off the guy. I think there's going to be 10 starts for Nikita Tolopilo if he stays healthy and holds up his end of the bargain. So, a really good chance here. And, to show the Canucks what he can do, but to show other teams what he's capable of. And look, at this stage, let's be honest, Thatcher Demko's comeback is a wild card.
Yeah.
It is, and that's the truth. And so Tolopilo's kind of got to take all of that into account and just put his best foot forward when he gets the opportunity.
Well, they know what they have in Lankinen. They need to see what they have in Tolopilo, and then eventually further down the road, you have to figure out a way to develop Medvedev, right? And see what he is going to be at some point, if that's going to be a goalie of your future. Kind of like Askarov is in San Jose. But like you mentioned, maybe about 10 starts. Patera should not play here at all. Unless there's an injury. Yeah. But it should be Lankinen and it should be Tolopilo. And even near the end of the season, it should be Tolopilo. You give him the brunt of the workload. Let him play.
I think it's so far off the rails that at some point, maybe you give Aku Koskinvo.
Yeah.
Got a shutout the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Again, do you want to introduce a really young guy into this defensive environment? I guess that's a question that organizationally they have to ask. Pat Silly with the super chat supporting the BC Mental Health Foundation. Thank you. Do you worry about prospects burning under Foote? I suppose under Adam Foote. And we had one from Barron who said, Jeff, do you think Foote gets fired before the end of the season? I don't. I think the tank is in full swing here. Just let it ride at this stage. And
I also think he's back next season.
Well, and I think there are a lot of people that, hey, if you really want to bottom out, then why would you at this stage ask somebody else to come in? If it's all about maximizing draft picks 2 years in a row, maybe, and maybe you give Adam Foote the benefit of a better roster and a healthier roster next season to fully see what he can do. As for worrying about prospects burning under him, look, people raved about this guy as an assistant coach and the work that he put in, and the players loved him as an assistant coach. I still think Adam Foote understands the game. He played it at the highest levels, is an accomplished winner at every level as well. And he's got decent coaches on his staff. is it the best staff in the National Hockey League? I don't think when they're sitting 32nd, they have to wear some of it as well. So, like, I watch the practices. They do put in the work with these guys. Again, they've created the system that isn't working for this hockey club, and that leads to an environment that has just allowed way too many goals and way too many opportunities. Mm-hmm. But I think between getting time down on the farm and the work that they put in with some of these young players, I'm not worried about the coaching staff stunting the development. When I see Jonathan Lekkerimäki playing 16 minutes, like, that's good use of a young player in a lost cause kind of hockey game. And I think I need to see more of that. I want to see Liam Ogren get back to being a little more prominent. I think his play has slipped here of late. We talked about Mancini. We've talked about the young defenseman. And so I think for the rest of the season, that's going to be under the microscope, is from where they are right now over these final 29 games, what can you get out of these guys? What can they deliver? What can they take into an offseason to be ready to come back and be better for the start of next season? You weren't here on Sunday. PJ was in. We spent a fair bit of time then, so I don't want to go too far down this road on my own because I made my thoughts known then. But I am curious just to get your reaction to the fact that Connor Garland has gone 11 games now without a point.
Yep.
Connor Garland has gone 11 games without a point since recording a pair of assists against the same San Jose team in that first game out of the holiday break. He's gone 15 games since his last goal, which was an empty netter, and his last goal on a goaltender. Nothing's changed here. November 26th in Anaheim. What the hell has happened to Connor Garland?
Well, he shaved to try and get something going, according to Ray Ferraro, you saw on the broadcast there. I do joke a little bit, but look, I think that for him, it's an interesting situation between him and the Vancouver Canucks right now, because dude's not playing well. His no-trade clause doesn't kick in until July 1st. I think the Canucks should try and get anything they can for this player. I really do. I think that he's on a pretty decent contract. He's a serviceable hockey player. He's played some really good minutes. He's a heart and soul type of guy. You mentioned we saw that, and nobody plays as hard as Connor Garland does when he's on. But Jeff, when he's not on, and he hasn't been on for quite some time in points this season, it's cardio for him out on the ice. Like we joked about Ilya Mikheyev doing that a lot, and we're getting into that territory now with Connor Garland. Is if you're not producing, if you're not on the score sheet, where are you at in the hockey game? Like, how are you helping your team, and what are you doing to help your team? He's not a very overly physical guy. Obviously, we know that. But if you're not out there, you're not playing power play, you're not playing PK, and your 5-on-5 numbers aren't good, I honestly think the Canucks should try and get something for him, and if they haven't already tried. But I do suspect that if I'm Connor Garland and I'm his agent, I probably want to wait till the summer just to, have that protection and kind of figure it out my own way. But if I'm the Canucks, I try and look at it from my point of view and get something now. 15
minutes and 8 seconds of ice time. Now 4 minutes of that on special teams. At 5-on-5, Connor Garland, one of the lowest Canucks in this hockey game, 11 minutes and 33 seconds. And another night that goes by where just he took the penalty early. I thought maybe that was a signal that he was into this thing, but really that was about the only time other than that one shift in the second period that I noticed him. Canucks not looking great on this homestand, but you can look great with this new collaboration between Hurley and Levelwear. Nation Network has partnered with Levelwear. It's a great Canadian sportswear company. And Hurley brings this laid-back board sports energy. This collection pulls inspiration from Hawaiian and coastal prints. It's relaxed, it's expressive, rooted in lifestyle. And then Levelwear comes in and levels it up, takes the inspiration, brings it to life through performance-driven, sustainably made apparel that's actually built to move and play. And the result is the Fairwaves collection. We've raved about this, seen some pics. This is good-looking stuff. The Fairwaves collection, modern golf silhouettes that feel lighter, more wearable, less rigid, respectful of the game's roots, but definitely not stuck in tradition. You can check out the polos, the hoodies, hats, and casuals, levelwear.com. The website again, levelwear.com. All right, let's hear from the head coach. Adam Foote's Canucks fall 3 straight regulation losses after the win against the Washington Capitals. Fell to the Devils, fell to the Penguins. Here tonight, the San Jose Sharks. 5-2 the final. Here's Adam Foote, his thoughts on the hockey game.
Adam, just your thoughts on the first period. Obviously, you start well, score the first goal, and then things got away from you after that. What happened in your mind?
The first goal they got, one of our forwards went where he shouldn't have. But, I still thought that shouldn't have went in. But the next two were one D-man, you never see him do it. He just flubbed an outlet pass, and then we had another turnover. They made it 3-1, and then it seemed like we were just chasing from there. We tried to do too much to the neutral zone after that, kind of got off what we were all about, getting it deep and forechecking, and it looked like we were just out of sorts for a while there, just chasing.
You pulled Kevin pretty early in the game. What went into that decision and your thinking in that moment to get Tolo in there?
Well, when it happens that fast, and he's been through a lot and good for us, and then the way it happened there that quick, that I just thought it was the right time to do it.
Adam, I remember Rick Tocchet when he was here, when the team would have a first period like that, he'd say, it's on me to have the guys ready to play. Do you feel like you had the guys ready to play tonight?
Well, I guess if you're going by that, and it's 3-0, 3-1, I guess not. So, I don't even know what kind of question that is. So,
Tom Willander was pretty open after the game, talking about how he didn't like his game tonight. Like, what do you have to say to a young guy like that who's maybe a bit hard on himself after a game?
Well, he'll grow from it. We'll go back and watch the clips and everything like that. He wasn't. We're in a situation with the injuries, Demmer being out, things like that. Our veteran D have been really good, and they're going to have an off night. And when our veteran D have an off night, a couple of them, things like this happen. And they can't play 82 games with their A games. It's impossible. No one's ever done it. And tonight was one of those nights where a couple of our guys were just off, and it's going to happen. And they grabbed the momentum and chased, and then we looked like we had some. It looked like we were just a little bit watching. They were playing fast, and we were a little off.
Talking about the injuries, how would you assess the games tonight for Lekkerimäki and Victor Mancini?
Yeah, I've got to go back and watch it, but I saw some good things there. Lecker had a couple good looks on that one. I know the one, you couldn't see it live, but there was a little bit of a stick on it that adjusted it and rolled the puck. Usually he gets those ones in, but I see why he didn't there. But he did a lot of good things, and I'll have to go back and watch Moose. He played hard.
All right, not exactly a ringing endorsement, and we already touched on, I think, what Adam Foote will see when he watches the tape of Victor Mancini. It was a tough go there. The question about not being ready, they opened the scoring a minute and 15 seconds into the hockey game. There have been a lot of nights this year, Irf, where I think that would be a fair question. I'm not sure that this was the night, and I know they were down 3-1 pretty quickly after that, but at least they came out and opened the scoring and had a little bit of jump. So he didn't like that question and moved along pretty quickly there. And he talked about, seeing things that you just don't see. He didn't name Hronek, but when he talked about the flub clearing attempt, that's exactly what he was referring to there. So he stands in and he takes the questions. He doesn't have a whole lot of answers, but his team is dead last in the league with a record of 17-31-5. I'm sure he is counting down the days until the Olympic break.
Yeah, free PD. It's not a super chat, but I'm going to read it anyways because you're always a contributor. Adam Foote says, got off our game. What exactly is their game? And I think that is kind of everything that we kind of talk about here on a nightly basis is identity, structure, being ready to play, this, that, and the other. And the Vancouver Canucks right now they're in the weeds, man. They are in the thick of it.
Yeah, and again, we parse everything that he says. When he talks about veteran defensemen can't have 82 perfect games, I think that's abundantly clear from anybody that has watched this group do its thing. All right, let's turn our attention to other games around the National Hockey League. It is time for our Bet365 line of the night.
I'm going to go back and look at the Canucks' last 25 games for the next show and see how many times they were actually a favorite in a hockey game, but we'll focus on tomorrow night. I like the Colorado Avalanche in Ottawa because in Ottawa, oh boy, they're in a bad way too. The Columbus Blue Jackets at home against the Philadelphia Flyers. And give me the Rangers on the road. They don't win much at home, but they do win on the road. So those three teams there, some pretty decent odds at plus 532. But whatever you bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Get in on the action. Hold on. There we go. Whatever you bet, everybody, Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's the code. Bet365. You must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
So Carson Soucy is going to make his debut at home against the Rangers.
They play back-to-back, one in Long Island and then one in New York.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that goes. He's bounced around and played former teams before, so that won't be anything new to him. It'll be interesting to see how Carson Soucy fits in with the New York Islanders. All right. So the Canucks get smoked by the San Jose Sharks. They practice on Wednesday, and then the Anaheim Ducks come to town, and the Ducks had their 7-game win streak snapped with a 7-4 loss in Edmonton last night. The Anaheim team's funny because early in the season I was on board, was crowning their rebuild. Look at them, they're coming out of it now, and look at them go. They won 7 in a row. Before that, they had lost 9 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, 7 straight wins that puts them back in a divisional playoff spot and all that kind of stuff. Mikael Granlund had a power play hat trick. Went into the game with 1 power play goal all season and scores all 3 of his goals last night. Hat tricks everywhere. There were 2 in that game. There was another one tonight. It's just been the month of hat tricks. Ducks put up 40 shots, but they lost. They are 3rd in the Pacific, 59 points. How about this for a statistic? They are 12-3 in games beyond regulation. The Ducks are 6-3 in overtime and a perfect 6-0 in shootouts.
Wow.
So, yeah. They find ways to grind out victories if they go beyond 60 minutes. Cutter Gauthier leads the team. He's got 23 goals, 47 points. He's 3rd in the league in shots on goal, 78 shots more than any teammate. This guy just fires from
cuts it loose,
anywhere. And we've heard, and you heard Adam Foote talking about injuries again. And yeah, the Canucks have had them. Every team's had them. The Ducks right now, or at least last night in Edmonton, no Leo Carlson, no Mason McTavish, no Troy Terry. 3 of their top 6 scorers out of the lineup, and they win 7 in a row. Yeah. That's how you get it done. How about Bennett Seneke? 18 goals, 43 points as a rookie. The guy had a hat trick. The OT winner in Calgary on Sunday. He had 2 assists last night. The Ducks can score. That much we have seen all season. They can't defend, though. No. Only the Canucks give up more than Anaheim. So you got the 2 most porous defenses in the National Hockey League on the same ice.
But one actually does good offense. Right.
But, I mean, we saw it down in Anaheim in late November when the Ducks beat them 5-4. Like, it was back and forth and chances and everything else. Ville Husso was in goal last night, so Lucas Dostal likely to get the start here Thursday. Dostal was hurt when the Canucks beat the Ducks 5-4 in late November. They faced Peter Mrazek that night. Dostal has won his last 6 starts and is the reigning 3rd star of the week in the National Hockey League. So he's been delivering for the Anaheim Ducks when he's been healthy and in their lineup. And when you're last in the league, every opponent is a tough one and every game is a difficult one. The Canucks are going to have their hands full with an Anaheim team that has some high-octane offense, much like this San Jose Shark team did.
We're going to do Vibometer after that game.
Right. Yes, because you're not here on Saturday in the Leafs game to wrap up the homestand of the month. So, well, we got that to look forward to in a month that has seen the Canucks win exactly once.
Yeah.
How low can the Vibometer
go?
It
hasn't been high at all the last 2 months. So
December was the Quinn Hughes trade and the fallout there, and then came January.
We got a couple of super chats here to finish the show as well, Jeff. Caffeine goes in your face. Remember months ago when everyone was grumpy about being 500 and not winning 2 games in a row? Yes, we do. And then also a $20 super chat. Thank you from Oh My Lord. No comment attached, just a $20 super chat.
Just,
so thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Oh, that's the name. But yes,
I know. Kind of
pretty
much sums it up.
Yeah.
But you're right, and I make this point. Like, this season has gone so far off the rails. At the 20-game mark, the Canucks were 9-2. They had 20 points through 20 games. This season.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done this every night. Like, we've all watched it. We know how it's played out. But 20 games into this season with some injuries, they were 9-2, and here they are now. They haven't even doubled that win total. They're at 17 wins all of these games later. So, enjoy your Wednesday because Thursday brings another game, and we'll see what that looks like. We'll be back to do it then. We'll have the Vibometer and whatever else the game presents for us to discuss. Want to thank Jacob and Quinlan working hard behind the scenes, helping us produce the program. Thank you for their help. Thank you as well.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
See you Thursday.
And thanks to everybody that stuck with us here after a 5-2 loss for the Vancouver Canucks at the hands of the San Jose Sharks. That's going to do it for this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.